crisis brings me back to the tumultuous era of my teenage years, approximately 15 years ago in 2007. At that time, I, a 15-year-old, grappled with the challenges of adolescence while residing with my parents in a recently adopted neighborhood. The initial thrill of a fresh start gradually succumbed to the harsh reality of being an outsider. The neighborhood, thinly populated, harbored few kids, all considerably older than me. This age gap, coupled with various factors, fostered an atmosphere of hostility, rendering me an anxious and nervous adolescent. Confronted with school bullying and domestic turmoil, I sought refuge in the nearby woods, stretching across the road, a haven that shielded me from the tribulations of my daily life. This discovery, born out of necessity, offered an unusual sense of safety that had long eluded me. Within this hidden realm, I stumbled upon a secluded area framed by cedar trees, eventually becoming my makeshift clubhouse. As days turned into weeks, I found solace within the embrace of those trees, a peace and security unmatched elsewhere. Once, I even unintentionally spent an entire night asleep in my secret haven, unnoticed by my parents. This oversight provided the pretext to transform my sporadic retreats into regular camping trips. Sustaining this newfound escape necessitated resources, and requesting money from my parents was out of the question. Determined, I initiated a mission to earn my camping supplies, offering lawn mowing services door to door. Despite never having mowed a lawn before, that was a minor detail compared to the challenge of acquiring a lawnmower. Resorting to clandestinely borrowing my dad's lawnmower for jobs, I persisted until eventual discovery, resulting in a stern reprimand. Undeterred, I saved enough money to purchase my own, albeit subpar, lawnmower. This marked a turning point, rendering my camping excursions a safer and more sustainable endeavor. Armed with my barely functioning bike, I embarked on a 5-mile journey to an Army surplus store. Emerging with an ALIC pack filled with various camping essentials, I eagerly put my new gear to the test. Skipping a week of school, I camped out in my clubhouse, realizing that this seemingly addictive hobby had evolved into something more profound, a source of safety and happiness amid my tumultuous world. As time passed, my routine settled into a delicate balance, attending school only enough to avoid trouble and heading straight to my clubhouse after classes. Those woods became my domain, with anyone venturing into them perceived as an invader. This territorial mindset would play a significant role in an unexpected turn of events. On a lazy Sunday afternoon during one of my camping weekends, I followed a well-worn path to the creek for water. Across the creek, I noticed an almost deserted road, and a parked camper caught my eye. Two men, seemingly oblivious to my presence, engaged in the careless act of shooting guns and drinking beer. My initial fury intensified when a stray bullet struck the water just feet away from me. Fear replaced anger, prompting a sprint back home to call the sheriff. In a moment of desperation, I fabricated a story about stumbling upon armed men who had threatened me. Unaware of the repercussions, the anonymous tip led to a significant meth lab bust. Sheriff's deputies apprehended the two men, engaged not only in reckless gunfire, but also operating a mobile meth lab out of their camper. The gravity of the situation hit me as the news reported the arrest and subsequent legal proceedings. In the months leading up to their sentencing hearing, I followed the case closely, still under the impression that my anonymous call had gone undetected. However, about 3 months before the hearing, I received an unsettling letter. Anonymous and ominous, the first merely warned, "You mess with the wrong people, kid," followed by another, more explicit threat the next week. "You better pray we get time served." The letters continued, creating an undercurrent of fear persisting in the background of my life. When the hearing day arrived, the news was grim for the two men. Felons with multiple firearms, combined with the manufacturing charge, ensured a minimum sentence of 10 years. The judge, showing little leniency, handed down a 20-year sentence for each. Relief washed over me, as the perceived threat seemed to dissipate with the incarceration of these dangerous individuals. Life moved on, and the past 10 years unfolded in a series of ups and downs. The specter of the meth heads became a distant memory, allowing me to believe the worst was behind me. However, life has a way of resurrecting past ghosts when least expected. Just last week, an anonymous letter arrived at my apartment, shattering the illusion of safety. The message was chilling. "You better write a will. The end is close at hand." I dropped the letter involuntarily, the ice-cold fear returning. My girlfriend witnessed the distressing scene and picked up the letter, her concern evident. I dismissed it as a prank, refusing to delve into the painful memories that resurfaced. But with that single piece of mail, a ghost from my past re-entered my present, throwing my life into disarray. Now I find myself in a constant state of vigilance, haunted by the fear that these menacing figures might resurface. Every glance over my shoulder, every unfamiliar face in the crowd sends shivers down my spine. The safety of my girlfriend and our newborn child hangs in the balance, and the specter of the past looms larger than ever.